Yeah, it's an interesting day.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunshine meeting of the Terre Haute City Council. It is Thursday, April 6, 2017 at 6:02 p.m. Roll call, Michelle, please.
Councilwoman Aller.
Present.
Councilman Azar.
Present.
Councilwoman Crossan.
Present.
Councilman DeBon.
Here.
Councilman Elliott.
Here.
Councilman Garrison.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Nasser.
Present.
Councilman Nation.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you, Michelle. If this is your first city council meeting, how we do our meetings is our Sunshine meeting is basically a fact-finding council meeting where we will not be voting on any items. Our agenda is at the front up here of the pew, the first pew, excuse me, that will only be talking about items that are on the agenda. If you're here to talk about anything that is not on our agenda, we reserve 30 minutes at our regular meeting, which will be next Tuesday because of the Good Friday holiday. So with that being said, first order of business, please, Michelle.
Resolution 5, 2017, designating an area commonly identified as 3701 North Fruit Ridge Avenue, Terre Haute, Indiana, as an economic revitalization area for the purpose of a 10-year personal property tax abatement, Ampeset Corporation for confirmation.
Petitioner to speak on this, please.
Hi, I'm Heidi Slinkard with the Wilkinson Law Firm, here again on behalf of Ampeset, who would like a 10-year personal property tax abatement to expand their production facilities on the north side of town. Now, we talked about it in more detail last month, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have at this point or talk about it again.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Resolution 5, 2017? Council? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next order of business, please.
General Ordinance 3, 2017, amending city code, changing flashing intersection control beacon at 10th Street and Margaret Avenue.
Petitioner to speak on this, please.
Excuse me, Mr. President, members of the council, Chuck Ennis, excuse me, city engineer. This ordinance doesn't really change anything that's existing out on Margaret Avenue. This just basically clears up the code. So the code will reflect what's existing right now. So it's really just a bookkeeping exercise. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on General Ordinance 3, 2017? Council? Chuck, I did have a question. I know we had an issue with another street light that was on 25th and Wallace a few months back,
Right.
which is similar to this. Will this be the last one that we need to fix, or is there other ones that we need to review?
I think we're good for now. The council will see a new one coming, I think, next month. There is a flashing signal at the corner of 13th and Barber, next to the old Sacred Heart School. It's a four-way stop and a flashing red light. It was installed there for the purposes of, children crossing the street. But there is no Sacred Heart School anymore. The high school is not in existence, and we're going to approach the council to have those removed.
Okay. So are you trying to do them all at one time? I guess, why are we doing this now instead of doing it when we did the ones at Wallace? I'm just curious what brought this up.
Just somebody called in and complained and asked about that signal, and then we're just taking it out.
Okay.
This one's a bookkeeping thing. Came up when we were addressing the other one on 25th and Wallace, right. And that one has been, all of the changes that we intend to make have been made at 25th and Wallace. We've got the signals moved, we got the signage there, we got the striping down since the weather's warmed up. We've got the crossing guards trained, I guess. I think we haven't gotten any complaints since all that work has been done, and hopefully, we've got that all fixed now.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilman Nation.
one other question, Chuck. In a similar vein with the flashing signals question, there's still one at 10th Street and 3rd Avenue, I think. that used to serve a warehouse that's burned down. It's by some railroad tracks, not far from Chauncey, the former Chauncey Rose. I can't remember if we've administratively taken care of that in the code and the signal is just still hanging, or if we need to do something in the code also for that.
Let me check into that one. I think you're right, but let me verify that and get back to you next week.
Thanks, because it's another one that's ripe for removal.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Next order of business, please.
Special Ordinance 13, 2017, amending Special Ordinance 23, 2016 as amended, City Hall employee salaries.
There's someone that's going to speak on this?
Okay.
Is that you, Michelle?
Throw them to the wolves, Michelle.
I think this is to clear up something on the engineering department. Let me pull it real quick. 1 second.
It's the urban forester.
Yeah, the urban forester, I believe when the budget was passed last year, that one was passed with a lower salary. They combined positions, and they were able to give him a raise last year, but we needed to clear up this year's salary ordinance to reflect that. Yes, he agrees with me.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Special Ordinance 3, 2017? Council? Next order of business, please.
Special Ordinance 14, 2017, vacating a portion of an east-west public alley located north of 2749 South 3rd Street and 208 through 212 Helen Avenue and south of railroad tracks. No problems were noted.
Petitioner, speak on this, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Richard Shagley. I'm an attorney with Wright, Shagley & Lyer, and I'm here tonight representing the petitioners. I'm not aware if this has ever been used as an alley. If it was, it's probably before the tracks were put in. This is, I don't know if you're familiar with Premier Auto Sales on 3rd Street, but between Premier's property that goes back to Harding and the railroad tracks, there's a strip that was apparently an easement, and we're hoping to vacate that this evening. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Special Ordinance 14, 2017? Council? Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Next order of business, please.
Special Ordinance 15, 2017, rezoning of property located at 208 through 212 Helen Avenue and the portion of east-west public alley to be vacated that is located north of 2749 South 3rd Street and 208 through 212 Helen Avenue and south of railroad tracks. Area planning gave a favorable recommendation.
Petitioner, speak on this, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Richard Shagley. I'm with the Wright, Shagley & Lyer law firm here tonight representing the petitioners. This is Premier Auto property, and they own the property back to Harding, and they would like that to be rezoned so they can extend their car lot back to that road, and then part of the alley that we just discussed in the previous ordinance. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Special Ordinance 15, 2017? Council?
Mr. President?
Councilman Nation?
Richard, do you know if there was ever an alley going north-south through this block?
I'm not aware of.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it from your map. Just curious. How you?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Next order of business, please.
Special Ordinance 16, 2017, rezoning of property located at 1509 Washington Avenue.
Is there a petitioner to speak on this, please?
Just rezoning from residential to M1. I don't know if I need to say.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Special Ordinance 16, 2017? Council? Yeah, you want to state your name and address for the record? I'm sorry.
Brian Hawley, from Ozone Insulation. Got it?
Yep, thank you. Next order of business, please.
Special Ordinance 17, 2017, rezoning of property located at 4355 East Wabash Avenue. Area planning listed as denied, which we will consider unfavorable.
Petitioner to speak on this, please.
Good evening, Mr. President, fellow members of the council. My name is Richard Shagg. I'm here tonight representing the petitioner, Devon Funeral Homes. As a result of last night's events, the petitioner is will request on Tuesday for it to be tabled. And as a result, I know this evening there's people here in opposition, and this isn't a fair representation of what we had last night. Even in a rainstorm, we had a healthy amount of members from the neighborhood all speaking in opposition. Although there's only a few here this evening, it's not a fair representation. I'm not too sure if they want to speak this evening. But originally it was to rezone it. It's currently a commercial piece and wanted to be rezoned to R3. But again, it's going to be, we'd ask that be tabled.
Thank you.
And I actually brought the stack of agendas from last night's area plan meeting if anybody would like to have one. So I found it in my file.
Anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Special Ordinance 17, 2017? Councilman DeBon?
Yeah, I feel I have a responsibility to at least address this. First, if this should come to a council vote, I will, of course, abstain from voting on it because of a conflict of interest. Second, I just want to clear up one or two things. This is not my property. I am not a part of Devon Funeral Homes, Inc. They are my clients. I am the real estate agent representing them. They are my family. But family or not, with any clients of mine in a real estate transaction, I have to act ethically and on their behalf. Because of that, if this was something I supported or something I opposed, I ethically cannot speak to that. And again, I will abstain if that should come to council as well. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Special Ordinance 18, 2017, rezoning of property located at 771, 781, and 791 North 40th Street.
Is there a petitioner to speak on this, please?
Good evening, Mr. President, fellow members of the council. My name is Richard Shagg. I'm here this evening representing the petitioner, Lily Grace, LLC. This is currently 3 vacant lots that is zoned R1. It is the intention of Lily Grace to rezone this to R2 to build a duplex. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Special Ordinance 18, 2017? Council? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Oh, Councilman Nation?
Richard, I'm looking at the drawing, and does it say Classroom 1 and Classroom 2?
The intent here is Lily Grace, once this property is rezoned, is selling it for a duplex to be built, and then this will be daycares, 2 licensed daycares.
2 licensed daycares in the same building.
In separate dwelling units.
In separate, but purpose-built to be licensed daycares. Why would you need to build 2 next to each other instead of just one big one?
When it comes to daycares, there's a lot of rules and regulations regarding how many kids you can have, how many teachers, the size of the building. There's a lot of regulations, and the intent here was to have 2 daycares. The other thing is if this doesn't go as a daycare, it's a matter of putting up 4 walls and you have a 2-bedroom duplex, or 2 bedrooms on each side. And that's also one of the reasons why this wasn't requested to be rezoned commercial, because surrounding it's all R1. Obviously, as you get closer to Fruit Ridge, it's commercial. But the thought of putting a C something in this area, we didn't think was in the best interest of the community. And speaking with the area plan office and going through this, we thought that it was in the best interest to do R2. So you don't have down the road, you don't have a commercial in a residential area. And the lady who is going to be renting this to run the daycares has 3 or 4 other daycares in this vicinity. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that you're specializing in threading this loophole that is allowing these kinds of developments.
It was so much fun last time.
Right, yeah. Okay, thank you, I yield.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Next order of business, please.
Resolution 8, 2017, designating an area commonly identified as 4150 East Stilton Avenue, Terre Haute, Indiana, as an economic revitalization area for the purpose of a 10-year real property tax abatement. This is for adoption.
Petitioner to speak on this, please.
Jeff Lind Law Firm, and I have Thomas Red with me, manager of Parallax, and I struggled with that throughout USA Indiana LLC. This and the next resolution are for the same development. It would be new manufacturing on the north side Terre Haute, $2,300,000 in building improvements, $22,500,000 in new manufacturing equipment, 55 new jobs with a $2,100,000 expected annual payroll. Assuming, and mind you, I plugged in the cost of both the improvements and the manufacturing equipment into the tax abatement calculator. And none of us know what the assessed value is going to be until it's assessed. But using that assumption, even with the tax abatement, there'd be nearly $440,000 in real estate tax paid over 10 years, and over $1,250,000 in personal property tax paid over those same 10 years. And these are new jobs on Terre Haute's north side. If you have any questions for Mr. Red, he resides, to the extent he actually resides in Seattle, spends a lot of time in New York, and when we were trying to pull together the pleadings, he was in Germany. So if you have any questions, we are hopeful we'll have him back any number of other visits. And I'd also introduce Carolina Ivich. If this goes to final action on your last meeting, I'll be on the side of the mountain with my brother and son. No cell phones, no nothing, boys and girls. So Carolina will cover that last hearing.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Resolution 8, 2017? Council?
Oh, no, come on.
Thanks, Jeff. Next order of business, please.
Resolution 9, 2017, designating an area commonly identified as 4150 East Stilton Avenue, Terre Haute, Indiana, as the economic revitalization area for the purpose of a 10-year personal property tax abatement. This is for adoption as well.
Petitioner to speak on this,
Jeff
please.
Lind Law Firm, on behalf of Pyrox. This is the personal property tax abatement with the $22,500,000 new manufacturing equipment.
Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on Resolution 9, 2017? Council?
Mr. President,
Councilman Nation?
I'm sure Councilman Nasser will say something, but thank you both for traveling here to represent your project, and thanks for your investment in Terre Haute. That's it, I yield.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, I just want to remind everybody that our regular meeting that we discussed at the beginning of the year when we did dates, we're going to have it next Tuesday at 6 p.m. So I just want to remind everybody that the regular meeting will be next Tuesday at 6, as well as the special call at 5:30 for the Wabash Valley Riverscape Board is going to be here to give their update on what they're doing with their plans. So, that's your call.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved to adjourn by Councilman Azar, seconded by Councilwoman Aller. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.